Welcome back to the channel, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
If it's your first time watching, I'm Michael.
I'm Catherine.
My wife, Catherine, and we are Where To Next. So we live off-grid in Belize. We wanted to give you guys some information, what we consider to be some of the most important things you can ask if you're buying land, whether it's off-grid here in Belize or even on the coast, by the water, with a lot of people with what I call swampland. It's just some things that you might want to ask your developer, because all the properties out here are going to have a developer. I know that there's a lot of realtors selling land, but somebody developed each and every one of those properties. As you can see behind me is our homestead back there on our property. And right now we're standing on the back property, and I wanted to show you guys this. First, I want to talk about roads. Roads is a big deal here in Belize, and we learned a lot this year. You're going to find a lot of people, developers that are selling land that, you know, have pretty much, they've cut the roads, they've put the roads in, they've compacted them down, and that's great. When they're first done, they look great.
They're beautiful. And we'll show you pictures, because we've got pictures from when we first bought the property.
Yes. After a year, they don't look so great, you know, and that's a big thing, is who's actually responsible for maintaining the roads. And what we've learned is 9 times out of 10, the person that developed the area that you're living in is not going to maintain the roads. And the government of Belize is not going to maintain roads that does not have infrastructure on it. And I mean power and water. They are not going to come out to areas like this and fix the road. So I'm going to turn the camera around right now, and I'm going to show you the back part of our property. And this road used to be like the front of our property, but we're not back here a lot. So this is what can happen to a road in less than a year. Okay, so right there is looking at our place, and this is the back road. And there's a yellow rock right here. That is the very end of our property. Now this road used to stretch from over here all the way to the edge there, and it was completely clean. As you can see right now, the only thing that you can see is where vehicles have come up and down. Towards the very top, it gets a little clearer because more vehicles take that route. But back here towards the back, very few vehicles come back here, if any. And this road right here, it went all the way down, probably about another 300 or 400 yards is how far that road went all the way down there. And as you can see right now, you can't even get down there if you wanted to. And a year ago, this road looked pristine. It was, you could drive up and down it. You could walk the 25-foot width of this road, and you can't do that anymore. So that's really a big importance of asking the person who developed your land, you know, was about roads. Who's going to be responsible for maintaining it? Because,
and not for nothing, don't even just go by that. Go take a look at it during rainy season, because they can tell you they're going to maintain it, but you got to go see what's going to happen during that rainy season.
Yes, and I'm going to show you a clip that I already did about what can happen during rainy season, even back here where we're at, and how water can destroy a lot of things. So yeah, keep in mind when you are looking at properties and stuff, you definitely want to keep in mind of who's going to be maintaining the roads that you're in out here. You know, the government of Belize is not going to maintain roads that doesn't have any kind of infrastructure on it. And I mean power and water. They're pretty much probably just going to say that that's up to you, which sucks, but that's just how it is. And roads is a lot of money to maintain. So the person that developed the property, that is in a rush to sell all the lots, is not in a rush to maintain the actual roads. We actually got lucky with the person who did our development back here. Yes. And when we had a couple problems with the road, he actually called in another dump truck, and he was nice enough to fix the problems. But like I said, we deal with a local who's well known and who's well respected in the area. And, you know, I'm just going to say it again. He's not just a realtor that's out to make a quick buck. And when they get their money and you realize that the roads are crap, well, that's on you. So don't be one of those people. So that's a big thing, is going to be roads. And I'm going to show you the main road.
What it used to look like.
Yeah. So that is the main road that leads into our property. And as you can see, because vehicles come down it all the time, it stays like this. But if you have roads where a lot of vehicles do not come down, it is not going to stay like that.
And this is even stopped because if you notice, the road actually comes out up to here.
Yeah. And this is all overgrown on the sides as well. So yeah, you can, the sides will get overgrown if, you know, people don't maintain their properties, which a lot happens. Someone will maintain their property from the edge of the road in, but not the actual edge of the road. And you will get left with pretty much all of this behind me right here. Up to where my arm is all the edge of the road. So you really don't want to deal with that. So make sure when you're looking at land, when you think about buying land, roads, ask them again, ask them a third time. Who is going to be responsible for maintaining my roads? Because you're going to save yourself a headache. Because if they look at you with that look and shoulder shrug, well, you know, it's probably going to be times, yes, it's going to be you. And there's going to be times where you probably can get to your property, or you can't, or you're going to be out there with a weed whacker or machete trying to cut the brush down just so you can get to your property. So that's very important. So for those of you that have asked about roads and everything, to give you an idea, here's our homestead, our property, the road. You can see how our road is pretty wide right here. When we got here a little over a year ago, this entire road was this wide and looked like this, and we used to be able to walk all the way down there to the very end before that tree line. This road was just wide open on both sides, and you can see it's not like that anymore. It is severely overgrown. I don't drive down there. We don't walk down there anymore. I've cleaned it up a couple times, but I just got tired of it, so I don't do it anymore. I keep what's in front of our property clean. As you can see, I keep everything here back to the edges to how wide the road should be. And of course, this is where we just had a lot of gravel put in. This is my wife, hard at work. Love you.
Love you.
Hello.
Hi.
And you can see down here, even running this way, I keep it clear up to right here on the other side. But even going down that way, you can see it's narrow. But the reason why you can go all the way down it is because we drive up and down it all the time. So, you know, roads are a big deal. And I say that because just because somebody cuts the roads doesn't mean that they're going to stay or they're going to look like that how when you first got there forever, because ours surely doesn't. I maintain the road that's in front of our property, but if I didn't, it would look like that just from driving down it. All right, so that's going to bring me to the second most important thing to ask about, in our opinion from living here. What's one of the second most important things to ask for, and that is infrastructure on the property that you're at. And what I mean by that is, especially if you're not living inland, if you're going to be living on the Ks, a lot of you that have been following this channel know that I grew up in South Florida. Growing up in South Florida, my grandfather worked for the engineers who decided they built all the drainage ditches and everything that are throughout Florida. And if you've ever been to Florida, then you've seen the ditches and the retention ponds and all that other stuff. And they're there for a reason, especially what just happened in Sarasota. Sarasota has retention ponds and they have the drainage ditches and all that. But you get too much rain at once, it's swampland, it floods. So there are the islands here. Most of the islands here are just like Florida. They are at or just above sea level. Ambrose Cay is only 6 foot above sea level. And we were just there recently. And I'm not telling anybody not to buy land in Ambrose Cay. I'm just saying that these are things that you need to know. Ambrose Cay is considered swampland. It really is. And if you buy there, you know, a lot of people are going to tell you that you need to fill. And filling is great. You can fill a property. if the neighbor next to you fills his property and yours isn't filled, and he puts a concrete structure on there, when it rains, where do you think that water is going to go?
Downhill.
Downhill into your property. And if you do the same thing, if you build, it's going to go downhill into the next property. At some point in time, all that water has to have somewhere to go. Infrastructure. The amount of standing water that I saw there completely blew my mind, and it reminded me of the swamp areas in Florida and why drainage ditches and retention ponds are so important, because the water has to have somewhere to go.
And you also have to keep in mind that when you're filling, it takes some time to settle.
Yes.
And where are you getting all that fill from? Because Belize is on a shortage of fills.
You just take them from one hole to put in the other. So the, infrastructure, and I know I keep kicking this like a dead dog, but infrastructure, especially when it comes to rainwater, is a big deal. And if you're coming from an area where you've never lived in swampland before, let me tell you what, you are absolutely going to watch this video and you're going to be like, wow, I understand exactly what he was talking about. If you go through some of these caves and you look right next to the properties that have these monstrosities built on them and are concrete to the ground, the ones next to it, there's water standing all over it. There's a reason. If you're only 6 foot above sea level, that water can only soak into the ground so much before it needs help. It needs gravity. It needs a man-made way to get out, because its natural way has been disturbed now, and its natural way is to sit in the soil, hence the name swamp, and it takes a while, probably all the way until dry season, for it to dissipate. All right, guys, so adding to the importance of infrastructure, this road right here is one of the main roads that leads to my house. What I want to show you is during rainy season, you can only see this, not during dry seasons. You can see right here, there's still water trickling down the side of this road. Now, this water didn't normally take this route. Last year, this water would run down here, and it ended up going flooding out these people's houses. So they had to dig on the side of this road, and you can see that water goes all the way down the road, and this water is coming from those mountains way up there, the mountains that are far behind my house. So it hasn't rained here in about a little over 24 hours, and you can still see the water is running down. Not only that, it's running down this side of the road. And see, these are things that you won't see during dry season, but I'm going to show you what this water running where it normally wouldn't after they cut roads actually does. So you can see right here at one of the cross sections, you can see how muddy and gucky it gets with the water running that route. And this is nothing compared to what it normally gets when vehicles start coming through here a lot. You can even see the potholes that are starting from this water. Let's go ahead and go up further up the road. So like I said, this is the area that the water comes down from after it rains. And you can see this mess. So this road that I'm looking down right now actually goes down to my property. This fenced in property on the corner is a friend of mine. So the developer, when he put these roads in, there's a culvert that's up in here. And for the first few months, it worked great. You can see the culvert right there, the pipe. For the first few months, it worked great. Well, over time, you get lots of runoff, heavy rains, a lot of mud, a lot of clay that comes in there, which causes this part of the road to collapse, and water gets stagnant in here. You can see this is the other side of the culvert, a little bit of water running out there, but the water just pools in there because it's clogged up, and then it'll just run on the side of this road all the way down. So when it rains hard, all this is flooded. But like I said, these are things that I didn't know about. These are things that you won't see during dry season. That's why I recommend everybody take a real good look at your property during wet season, because the terrain is going to change on you drastically. So this right here is a friend of mine's half acre that he has, and you can see it's flat, it's lush. He had corn and everything planted in there last year, and this is what he had to do this year. You can see he had to dig a trench from the very back part of his property, because all the water comes out of that mountain range right there. It drains down and it swamped the back of his property. So he had to dig this drainage ditch all the way from the back of his property all the way out here to the front, so we can run all the way down there to the cross section where I just showed you that the culvert is. But even all that gets filled with water. So yeah, you definitely got to know the area that you're in and infrastructure. It's not just on the water, it's inland too. If the right infrastructure isn't put in, it can cause a super headache.
And if you have sitting water, you also have mosquitoes.
Yes. So roads and infrastructure, if you're looking to buy property and you don't see culverts, natural drain fields, if they tell you that you got to fill land, you might want to really think about it. You might want to even start calling up some engineering places that are in Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi. Just ask them. You know, the reason why I give you guys this information is to save yourself a huge headache, because we know several people.
And it's not to deter you, because we honestly,
Correct.
we love Belize, and there is
Yes.
a lot of good from Belize. There's a lot of bad, there's a lot of headaches, there's a lot of stuff that we're just not used to when we come from places like the States or Canada or whatever. And it's not to say that it's bad, it's just you have to know so you can
Correct.
do your research and you can know.
Yes, my wife is always right.
Or,
it's just,
or else it just becomes
Yes.
a huge headache.
You just have to know. We don't mind the water runoff on our property the way that it goes. But you have to keep in mind that if you have to fill a property and somebody builds a little bit higher than you on the one next to yours, 9 times out of 10, if there is not a ditch, if there's not a natural way for that water with a gravity to run out, it's going to be standing on your property.
Even on our property, I don't wear anything, especially during rainy seasons, but my water boots. I don't have any other shoes that I can go out there. And I will sink, and I have chunks of mud everywhere. And that's just for me to go out to my chickens.
Yes.
And not even to go into the other property, because that one has more water and more mud, and you sink even more.
But
we still love it.
Yes. And these are all things that we learn. And like I said, we don't bring these videos to you to deter you from coming. We bring these videos to you so you can ask. Because if you don't know, you might spend a bunch of money on a piece of property and you turn around and realize, okay, well, you bought swampland. Well, you might not want to do that. You might not want to be in that situation. And if you don't know about it, then you're going to fall victim to buying land. So
and some people can live with it, and that's great. Yep. And some people cannot. But the people that cannot, people like us that cannot live like that, on long periods of like that, we need to be able to have the funds available to do that. And we don't have a lot of money. We have to make it as we go, and that's why a lot of this stuff takes some time. So it just takes time, and it takes money. So if you don't have it, be prepared.
And it takes living here for a while to understand the different seasonal change and what you can come up against. So from our opinion, from our point of view, roads and infrastructure that has to do with water. Like I said, it's just not on the Ks. I got a video clip that I'm going to show in here. Even here in these mountain ranges, when it rains hard, the water drains from these mountains for at least 2 days.
It does.
After it rains, I mean, water will just be streaming down these roads.
Crystal clear and
Crystal
beautiful.
Clear, beautiful water, sunny out, but it rained 48 hours prior. Once again, all that water needs somewhere to go. So it's going to be the same way in swampland. So just be smart. Ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more informed you'll be. And that's all we're here for. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for all the likes, all the comments, everybody who's supporting us out there. We got a lot more stuff coming your way. Stay blessed. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.